So everyone close your eyes. I have no idea if your eyes are closed because I can't see you, but I'll just trust that your eyes are closed right now. And just take a moment and think for a bit what you want to be doing as a dream job or career. And if you don't know, that's completely okay. Maybe think about what small goal you'd like to achieve in the next year. First thing that pops into your head. I want you to keep that thing in your mind because we're gonna come back to it later. So I want to begin my TED Talk with a statement tonight. It's a little controversial maybe, but hopefully I can make you think about it. So here it is. A head start is overrated. Now I know that sounds a little bit weird coming from me and also to you guys who attend one of the best high schools in the country where you arguably already have a head start over millions of other American students. So let's recognize that opportunity that we're all so lucky to have and have had and acknowledge it. But, and this goes out to you guys and to the broader audience, it's not necessary to have a head start. If becoming successful required you to have a head start, there just wouldn't be that many successful people. He entered his first tournament and won against children much older than he was. Over the next couple of years, he would continue making headlines for achieving golf scores that not even many adults could achieve. His dad recognized his talent and began honing it very intensely from a young age. Now let's consider boy number 2. As a kid, he played lots of different sports growing up. It wasn't until high school that he picked up tennis because soccer was getting a little bit too competitive. Kids his age were receiving strength training from coaches, psychological training from sports psychologists, and diet information from nutritionists. It was just getting a lot. So you probably guessed who boy number 1 was, and you may have guessed who boy number 2 was. Boy number 1 was Tiger Woods, and boy number 2 was Roger Federer. Tiger Woods and Roger Federer are among the greatest of all time in their respective sports. But as I just illustrated, they got to be the greatest in very different ways. Tiger Woods and Roger Federer represent 2 archetypes that we're going to call, or that other people call, a specialist and a generalist, respectively. So here's what it looks like. A specialist is someone who essentially practices very deliberately one thing for many, many hours and often starts as early as possible to fit in as much practice as possible. A generalist is essentially someone who spends their time doing many different things. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, am I more of a specialist or more of a generalist? Is it better to be one or the other? The answer is that it may change over time. You may be a specialist now, but decide to become more general later on. You may be a generalist now and decide to specialize in something down the road. Whatever you are right now, it's okay. And that's really the first message I want to emphasize. You shouldn't feel left behind when your peers are, let's say, taking some extra math classes, or if they're putting in more hours in the gym, or pursuing more auditions, whatever. It's okay to not be ahead. It's never a given that people who get ahead now will always be ahead of you later. You just got to focus on yourself. If taking those extra math classes or putting in those hours in the gym or pursuing more auditions is what you want to do, all the power to you. But don't just do it because you feel the need to quote unquote catch up. Now, a question you guys may have at this point is, Lathan, but doesn't practice make perfect? Haven't you heard that before? Won't I succeed in certain things because I've practiced more? I've put in more time than the next person? Well, the answer is both yes and no. There's a body of research out there about experience and resultant performance. For things like chess or surgery, the adage practice makes perfect holds true for the most part. This is because things like chess and even surgery are environments that have clear patterns and a clear set of rules from hours and hours and hours of dedicated practice. And in surgery, there are sets of rules that surgeons learn to follow after years of hard training to do the surgery or to deal with unexpected events. We call these environments kind. So what if an environment is unkind? There was a study done by this guy named Tetlock who followed a group of highly educated experts and non-experts who were tasked with predicting certain political events. After following them for 15 years, he found that there was no discernible difference between experts and regular Joes who read the newspaper. So what does this mean? We call these environments unkind because they don't have clear patterns and they don't have a clear set of rules. These are environments where dedicated practice, putting in those hours and whatever, that may not give you that much of a leg up. So do you guys still remember the answer to what you wanted to be in 5 years, or if you didn't know, a small goal you want to accomplish within the next year? So if you know that you have a head start and you're super passionate about achieving whatever that thing in your head is, my hat's off to you. If you're unsure about whether you're on track to becoming that thing, whether it's an athlete, a musician, a scientist, a lawyer, an actor, a consultant, whatever, I'm here to tell you it's okay. I'm here to tell you to not feel bad that you're not pushing yourself 100% of the time, all the time. I don't want you guys to fall into the trap of, oh, some kid out there is waking up at 5 a.m. to practice. What am I doing? A lot of the time, if you work hard, you put in that work and you do what you're doing, you're going to get there. And you're going to achieve success. If you're the person who is driven and likes getting up at 5 a.m. and you have visions of greatness, that's amazing. For those of you who aren't like that right now, that's okay. That type of behavior, that type of scheduling, that's the exception, not the norm. And you can still achieve success and happiness and high performance, however you define those. You can still do it. You may not know what you're gunning for now, and that's completely okay. So take the thing in your head and say, I will get there, and it's okay if that changes. Really. You may not know what you want to dedicate your time to. Things change, your life changes, your priorities change. The most important thing right now may be a thing in the past a year from now. And a year from now, when you're doing something potentially different and you love it, you may think to yourself, oh man, I wish I found this thing earlier. I wish I put in more time. But how could you have known? How do you know that doing what you're doing now didn't somehow indirectly lead to what you end up love doing in the future? You can't. You just don't know. So right now, enjoy the experiences that you have. And try not to think about whether what you're doing right now is going to put you ahead in the future. The truth is, you just don't know. And there's a whole aspect I haven't even touched upon that much. It's that sometimes you gotta do things just to get by. People gotta work, they gotta get jobs. The few that have their lives completely mapped out ahead of them, they're the exceptions. I understand that this may not be what people have told you. This may not be what you have heard growing up. Admissions committees don't really tell you that either. Prestigious scholars are composing and performing all across Europe since he was a young boy. BCA Regeneron science fair winner has been doing stem cell research since she was 14. Somebody getting accepted into prestigious graduate schools for having dedicated their entire lives to fighting for equitable rights. These headlines seem familiar, right? We love these stories. We wonder, how did they do that? Am I too late? Am I too far behind to accomplish things like that? And the answer is no, you're not. Because chances are the people in these headlines aren't true hyper specialists either. They probably have had time to explore other interests just like you're doing right now, or just to even chill out and watch TV. And even if they are hyper specialists, they are those people that are just on all the time, there's a lot of room in this world for bright and talented people like yourselves to come in and solve some of the world's most pressing problems and to reach the tops of your fields. So I'm talking about all this. The question is, have I lived it? And yeah, I think I have. So this is a picture from high school, my high school graduation from BCA. As you can see, didn't really know how to smile back then. But I want to end my talk with how what I'm saying has applied to me personally. In high school, I was surrounded by brilliant people just like how you guys are. And I felt like I didn't have any specialized skills relative to my classmates. I was scared of learning new things because I thought it was too late for me. My classmates were these so-called geniuses, I thought. When it came time to apply to colleges, I had no idea what to write about because I couldn't really express who I was to admissions committees. And I think because they didn't know me, I believe a lot of them didn't want to take a chance. And fair enough. So I only got into one school, Pomona College in Southern California. And what a lucky, lucky thing to have happened to me, because it was there that I began to embrace some of the messages that I'm telling you guys about tonight. I began to explore and be okay with exploring. I saw the people in my class who were doing amazing things in the fields that I was interested in too. And I thought, you know what, good for them. I'm going to do me though, and I'll get there eventually. I went from studying Spanish to public policy to molecular biology and eventually statistics. It wasn't until halfway through college that I realized I loved working with data. Yeah, there were many times when I thought, maybe I'm just too late. You know, I'm taking classes that my peers in this area have already taken a couple of years back. But I really love doing it. And I never thought of putting in more hours just to outcompete the other guy. That wasn't my motivation. I also worked during college, so getting caught up in the thought process of, oh, everything I do has to lead to my career, whatever it may be, I think that would have been dangerous. So I thought I was destined to go to medical school after graduating college, but after graduating, I ended up doing my master's at the University of Cambridge in England in epidemiology, where I got to learn more statistics and enhance my data skills. So here's a picture of me. This was matriculation day. I'm wearing a gown. Yes, you heard me, that's right, a literal gown, because it's England, and this is where Harry Potter got its inspiration from. And I'm working as a scientist at Merck, the pharmaceutical company. So the last thing I want to end with is that I'm absolutely convinced that being a generalist and studying Spanish and public policy and molecular biology and statistics, whatever, they will all benefit me because I'm in an unkind environment. And I'll never know what experiences I'll have to rely upon to find success, happiness, content, whatever. I think everything that I've done was meant to be. I really mean that. And I didn't plan for my career to start this way, but I think I'm doing okay. And I hope if you're in a similar situation that you genuinely believe and say to yourself, I'm doing okay too.